A little bit of a windy day today, but had a few requests to do a carb clean on this Johnson 4. So today we'll take the carb off, we'll clean it, and we'll reinstall it. So I've just undone the cowling lid there, clip on the front there. I'll just lift it off so you can see what engine we're dealing with. We've got the internal fuel tank, recoil starter, the carb's in the front here, got the internal fuel pump, and we'll go ahead and we'll remove the carb and we'll go through how to clean it and reinstall it. So the first thing we're going to do to get the carb off is remove the recoil starter. Now it's held on with four bolts, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and they're 3/8. So I've got the electric ratchet here. We'll whiz those 4 off and we'll put them on the tray over there out of the way. Sorry, I totally forgot. In addition to the 4, there's one down there which is just hidden by this bit of foam on the fuel tank. So you push that out of the way, you've got a 5th one down there, 3/8 again. So just remove that. So there is 5 in total. I said 4, but there's definitely 5. Once that 5th one's been removed, you can just pretty much just pick up the recoil starter and we'll put that to one side on the table there. And now we can get a good look at the flywheel, or a bit deeper into the engine, giving us better access to the front here where the carburetor is. There's still a bit to remove, but we're not too far off. Now on the front, we've just got the stop button and sort of the choke and the fuel isolator there. On mine I've just got this little clip to hold it in, so I've removed that. And this we can just, if you give it a firm pull, you can pop this straight off. Now we can move on to taking off this side cover here. There's a screw there, a screw there, and then there's 2 underneath in there, but I think on this engine they've both fallen off, so we just have to worry about these 2 on the top there. And they're just flathead screws that go into the plastic cowling now, clips. So I've just removed those 2 little screws there. They have these little clips that they go over. And inside you've got a little bracket that comes off the cylinder block, which goes on sort of the front side there. I've just popped them off, same on that side. And now this bit just comes straight off. Obviously we've got the stop switch, which is still sort of connected, but that can just hang free. And now we can see the carburetor at the bottom here. We've got a bit of an airbox on here. The ignition system is on top there, but we're not too far off getting the carb off now. So we'll just take the airbox off now, and it's just those 2 screws on the bottom. So wind them off and the airbox should come off. Just bear in mind that you have got a few little linkages attached, but you can pop them off. They're just plastic, so be careful, but you can pop them off the screwdriver or something. So there we are, airbox is removed, just the two screws that go there and there, and a little clip linkage that's on there. So we get a lot cleaner look at the carb now and everything that's attached to it. We've got a few fuel lines on the left here and a throttle linkage. You see when I do the throttle there, the linkage is all moving. Of course we can just pop them off. So we'll get the next step now and see what else is to remove. Probably do the fuel lines now, I think. So this, I don't know how easy it's going to be to see or hear with the wind, but we've got this fuel line here which is held on with a little clip which we can just pop off, push that back, and then we can just get a little screwdriver in there and just try and push it off the barb there. So that's that one off. You see there's a bit of fuel in there still from the tank. Probably not a bad thing that it's draining out. I don't think there's much in there, so I'll just let it drip. Then we've got this clear tube which seems to go into the crankcase. I don't know if it's some sort of case vent or pulser or something. I'm not too sure, but we'll take it off anyway. Same, we'll just push it off, just push it out of the way. And we've got one more hose on the top here, which again we can just manipulate off, levering it against the carburetor with this flat blade screwdriver, if I can get it off. There we go, that's that one off. So I don't know if you see that, but we've got a hose on there, a hose on there, and a hose on there. And the only things that are holding it on are the two nuts and there, and there's a linkage on there as well. And we have got a little bit of fuel coming out of there, but it's been in for a while, and we're going to clean the carburetor. So the best thing to do is probably just to let that drain out, gravity fed, and we can replace with fresh fuel when we're done. So a little lie there about this throttle linkage here. The whole linkage is actually part of the carburetor, and it's just on a roller on the top there, and as you throttle on it, the roller gets pushed forward on the butterfly, so we don't actually have to touch that. It's just the two nuts left and right on the carb that's holding it on. So there's one of the nuts there, same on the other side. Now I believe it is Imperial, but I've got an 11mm and it fits fine, so they're not tight at all. They're not locking nuts, they're just plain nuts. So wound them right off, the other one's off as well. So that's both nuts now off, and this carb should just literally just pull off. You've got a few gaskets in there, it might be a little bit stuck, but it'll just come off the stud bolts that are already in there. So just be mindful, like if the nuts are sort of still captive in there, that they don't fall and you lose them. As far as I can see, there's no washers on here. I don't know if there was originally, but we've just got the two nuts, and there'll be some mounting gaskets, and that'll be the carb fully off, ready for us to take inside, out the wind, and we can strip it down and give it a little clean. So I just pulled the carb off, just got it on the tray there. So there's just these two studs here. I put the nuts back on, just to protect these two bits of stud, and so I know where they are. But for the engine, that's us finished with this engine now, and we can get inside and clean this carb. I'm going to say that's the linkage there, it just rolls on that roller, and just the throttle there, up and down. But we get the float bowl off now and give it a good clean inside. So we're inside now, out of the wind, and we've got the carburetor off, the Johnson 4 horsepower. So we'll just have a little quick overview with it. Obviously we've got the three inlets here. On the front here, which is the part that's facing us, we've got the choke, which is controlled by that little control knob that goes through the cowl on the front. We've got a mixture control here. On the side we've got the throttle, which is on a roller there, which is when you twist the throttle, it pushes that forward, and in turn that opens the butterfly inside, which is your throttle. This is the bit that's attached to the engine. We've got the gasket still on. Now I haven't got a service kit for this carburetor, so I'm not going to pull parts out that I don't need to, or replace gaskets, so I'm going to leave that gasket in place. And inside of there, I don't know if you can see it because of the light, see if I can open up the throttle there. Inside the Venturi, open the choke there, we've got the jet, which is running through the middle there. And you can see the Venturi where it narrows, that creates a lower pressure. The fuel's drawn up because of the low pressure, and it's atomized into the airstream and into the combustion chamber. So the first thing we're going to do, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 screws on the bottom. Not flat blade, but they're posi, so we'll take them 4 off, and we'll have a look at the condition inside of here, any debris or anything like that, and see if it allows us to see what's going on with these 3 barbs. So we'll take that off now and we'll have a good look. So we'll just go ahead and I'll take off all 4, and we'll just put the screws to one side. Obviously with this float bowl chamber, it's only going to go on or back on in one way because of the profile of it. Some of the carbs that just have like a round bowl, you can pretty much put them on any orientation as long as the mate and faces match. But with this one, I think it's fairly obvious which way it's going to go on. So we'll just get that last one there. So we're going to hold it in the correct orientation because it does feel like there's a bit of fuel left in there, and we'll have it looks to be a gasket in between the two there. So we'll just peel that off, being careful because we do have a float. Looks like the gasket's just caught there. And there we go, there's the float. It seems to be operating quite freely. So I'll just turn it upside down out the way. We take the gasket off, put it to one side, and inside there we've just got one big float chamber there. So I'm just going to get rid of that fuel there, and then we'll have a better look at the condition of both. So I just poured the fuel into the little parts tray here, and it does appear to be a little bit of water sitting in that float bowl, so it's probably just as well we did take it off. Inside condition, there's a little bit of gunk in there, but nothing seems to have dried or varnished, so I think the fuel's been sitting in there. Obviously not the freshest of fuel, it's been sitting for a while. Get rid of that bit there. But overall condition, pretty good. It's plastic housing, so you don't get any of that like sort of rust or tarnish build up in the bottom. But still, a good idea to take it off and clean it, because obviously anything that's in there is going to get drawn up and block the jet and the nozzles. So I'll go ahead and I'll give that a little clean with a cloth. So I've just given it a little clean there, and it's come up all right. You can see it's where it's starting to dry. There's a little bit of tarnishing, but it is actually clean. And on there we've got the I think one of them's a fuel inlet. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure what these barbs are for, but obviously one of them's a fuel inlet. I don't know if the other one's a fuel inlet, because it's got a remote tank and a local tank, like a tank on the engine and a tank that you can plug in. So it's obviously something to do with the fueling. But which one's which at this stage I'm not sure, but I'm not there to tell you which one it is. I'm just showing you how to clean it. So that's obviously the fuel's entering through that little what's coming in through one of these two. We've got a fuel cut off on the side there, a little switch, and then the fuel comes in there and then enters the chamber. So that's that clean. Happy with that. We'll put that to one side and we'll have a look at the main carburetor now. So here we go, is the main body of the carburetor. It's obviously upside down, but we've got the float there, which when that orientation, that's the maximum fuel entry, because obviously the chamber will be full, and as the fuel comes up, this rises with the fuel, and the little inlet needle there gets nipped and the fuel is stopped from entering the engine. Now with the lower section there and that little inlet, see it matches with that there. There's a drilling that runs all the way along on the end of this barb, which then terminates on the underside where the inlet needle is. So all three are connected to this chamber here, and also when the fuel's full, the buoyancy of this float here presses against the inlet needle, and that stops the fuel. As the engine uses the fuel, obviously this is upside down, fuel level drops, the float drops, and it opens up the little needle there, allows more fuel in. And on the engine there is a little fuel pump which is obviously continually pumping the fuel to the float bowl. These can get stuck. They can get stuck closed or open. Obviously if it's stuck closed, you're going to get no fuel in. If it's stuck open, your engine's just going to flood. But we'll take this apart now. We'll give it a little clean and see if we can remove the nozzle and the jet from inside of there. The sort of the emulsion tube, as it's called. So to take the float off, there's a little plastic pin that looks like that runs through on this brass here, and we just get a hold of it, and if we just pull it, just keep a hold of it so nothing really moves or we'll lose anything. We should be able to just pull it out, but sometimes these can get quite tight. There we go. We don't want to lose it, obviously. Let me just pull it. I think it might have cleared. Yeah, it has cleared. So it's still on the last sort of like the, I don't know, like the shoulder there. We can lift it off, and we've got the little needle which is held on with a little clip on the side there. So there's the float. So these are prone. I don't know about these particular ones, but they can perish and you can get fuel in them over time, and obviously then the buoyancy changes and they do sit differently. But give it a little shake. That one's absolutely fine. I can't hear anything sloshing around, so I think that one's all right. And it's of a newer design. The like really old ones used to be like cork. I think they used to just get perished. But this one's all right. I'll give it a little clean. A bit of tarnishing on the top there, but give that a little rub. It should be all right. Got the little needle here, and what we're looking for is the tip of the needle. I don't know how easily you can see that, but if it focuses properly, but there's a little rubberized end on there, and we're just making sure that that's still a point. Hasn't got shoulders on it or anything like that, or any of the materials missing. But that does look okay. got a real good point on it. So obviously, like I say, I haven't got a replacement part for this, but I'm quite happy with the condition of that needle. And I wasn't having issues with the engine anyway, so there's nothing to indicate why it would be an issue. But you can start seeing, if you start to get, like, instead of it being a complete point like that, if you're starting to get like a step in it where it's been pressing on the seat of here, it's time to replace it. They're not much. They normally come as a full kit anyway. So now, something to be very mindful of with these carburetors, unless you've got a proper rebuild kit and you're at your wit's end with it and you can't get anything, be very careful taking out these brass pieces, because it is brass, it's very soft, and if it is stuck in there, you can damage them. And this one here, I've had a little go at it. It's the seat for the float. I'm not going to try and remove it, because if I damage it, I run the risk of little filings going everywhere, and I'm not running the risk. There's nothing really in there. On some engines, yeah, there might be like a little filter behind there, but very rarely. Look at the parts manuals and see what is behind there. Chances are this is literally just a threaded brass insert for the seat to sit in. Run compressed air, brake cleaner, whatever you're doing to clean it through. With this one, obviously I'm not going to show you putting compressed air or anything like that, because I'm literally just doing a strip down. But with this bit, I'm not going to take it out. We're obviously more concerned with this this part here, which is where the fuel's going up and into the airstream. This is what 9 times out of 10 gets blocked, and this is what we're going to try and remove. These, they have a flat for a screwdriver to go in, and they also have a sort of a hexed head for a socket to go on as well. So I'm not saying it's a lot easier to take out, but they're easier than taking these flat ones out. So we'll give it a go with this. Might have to soak it for a while in some penetrating oil, but we will get it out. So with this one, it is free. I have had a little go at it. It's like a 2-step. You've got there's different terms used. I mean, I know I quite often get the terminology wrong here, but it's what I call it the jet, which is sort of the metering part, which is a tiny little brass bit that sits on the top. Screw. It's got a thread on it, and these normally have like a number, and it determines how the bore of the jet here. These can get blocked. This is normally when an engine doesn't run. This is normally what it is. These need rodding. Being mindful not to rod and oversize it, because you don't want to change the diameter of the hole. This one doesn't look too great. I can't really see through it, so I've got some little brass rods that just rod them through, compressed air, whatever you've got to clean it. But always take a lot of care cleaning these, because these can be normally 99% of the time what fouls a carburetor. So clean that bit nicely, and then we've got the rest of it here, which is on a thread as well. Should just be able to screw it out. Yeah, there's another bit of it. I think there's another bit still inside. Yeah. So the rest of the tube is in there. You can see it in the end, but get it out. Normally you can go in from through the throat here and push it down with a screwdriver. So, you go in from the top and just drop that down, and it'll fall straight out. So I normally refer to this as like the emulsion tube. So once the fuel's been metered through this little bit, it's getting drawn up here, and round the outside you can see there's some little hole. I don't know how easy you can see, but some little holes in it. Obviously when we're cleaning this, we want to make sure that the inside's clean, and the outside you can see some like sort of, I don't know, like varnish build up on the outside here. So we want to make sure this is all off and it's nice and clean. Obviously it's going to take more than me just showing you here to clean this. I'm not going to do it in front of you, but we just want to make sure that it's 100% clean. Even if you get it sort of shining again, you know, that's the best thing you want to get it to. Like, this has obviously it's either been sitting in some water for a while or whatever. It's got a tarnish to it, which is coming off with just rubbing it with the glove there. But again, so clean that fully. So unfortunately I can't get that inner brass rod out. There's a little rod that runs through the center of the emulsion tube from the top here. I believe it's part of the sort of maybe it's the air control circuit, because if you look, it runs up through there, through the center. You can see it through the venturi. Obviously that's where the drilling plug is, the Welsh plug, and then it comes along here to this brass bit here. Might be wrong, but I think it's something to do with the mixture control, whether it's air or fuel. But can't get that out, it's obviously it's stuck in. Obviously, if I was doing this properly in like a full rebuild, obviously we'd be able to get it out. We'd have to probably take this choke plate off, the choke rod, and we'd get some like long nose pliers on it and just grip it and just push it down. But I say I haven't got a rebuild kit, so we're not going to take that bit out. But it is just literally a brass rod or tube that runs through all the way at the top there. It's not the end of the world. You can still take this needle out, this brass little plug on the side there, take it all out, compressed air, brake cleaner, whatever you want, until you're happy with it. See all this like gunk build up, just get it all clean. But overall, I mean, this carburetor, there was nothing wrong with it to start with. Obviously, it's not 100% because we can't get that little rod out, but I'm not bothered because I know it runs. So yeah, sort of like, I don't know, like air's getting admitted through here, it runs down and in and along the side here and up, and this is controlling how much air comes. I'm not sure on this carburetor, I haven't done my research on it, but overall there's not much to it. So these are your two main parts for the fuel, and then you've got your float system as well. But for stripping down and cleaning, it's just pretty much as basic as that. You just want to make sure it's 100% clean. If you're not sure, do it again. Redo. Don't skimp on the carb cleaner, the compressed air. You don't really need compressed air, but definitely like carb cleaner. Don't go too much with like a wire brush. If you're going to clean it with something, try and use something soft like I don't know, like copper or brass or something, especially on these fine pieces like the jet and the emulsion tube. Be very careful with these, but do ensure that they are clean. Rod them through. Don't over rod them. You don't want to make them any bigger. And also, when you rebuild it, change the gaskets if it comes with a new gasket. Obviously, I'm just going to reuse the old ones. Not the best idea, but it's quite a thick one. I don't know, it's nitrile or something. It's not gasket paper or anything, but it's in good condition. Ideally, I wouldn't reuse them, but just for an instructional video of this one, I'm just going to put it back together and hope for the best. So for refitting, we're going to put the emulsion tube back in first. Literally just put it back in and just wind it back on the threads till it seats properly. You don't want to overdo it. You're not bolting this down. It's not a cylinder head. It is soft brass. You will damage it if you go too much on it. With that one there, I've just done it hand tight, but obviously just get a spanner on there. Just nip it. I mean, it's so little, even some pliers like that. Literally just an eighth of a turn, if that, just to seat it. And then we've got the jet, which we're going to screw in the bottom again. And again, nothing crazy tight. Literally just so it seats, and then maybe an eighth of a turn is probably too much. But that's it. Obviously, you don't want a fuel leak where fuel's bypassing the threads, but you're not tightening this down till you actually strip it. So that's the emulsion tube and jet put back in. We'll put the float back in now, and it's pretty much just the same as when you take it off. So we've got the float here. I've given it a little clean. We've got the inlet needle here, which has a little spring clip on it. It just slides over the top there. That sits into the hole. And then we line the float up with this bits there, and we just push the pin back through. And there we can see, we just turn it over, just make sure it operates correctly, it doesn't stick, it's not binding, and that is pretty much perfect. So put the gasket back on, and then the float bowl and the 4 screws, and then it's pretty much just a case of reassembling the engine as you took it apart. It's as easy as that. Here we go, here's the gasket going back on as well. It's only going to go on one way, and then the float chamber goes over the top. We just line all the holes up, and we put the 4 screws back through as well, and we'll bolt them down. So there we are, I put the 4 screws back in, and I'm just finishing it off now, just nipping them up. And that's pretty much it. So that's it, screwed down and secured. Obviously, if we had a rebuild kit, we would have put all the new parts on, but I've just shown you how you take it off the engine, take the float bowl cover off and give it a clean. Obviously you could go a bit further. You could pop this sort of Welsh plug out, you could pull this out, you know, but I'm not doing that. I'm not doing a full breakdown rebuild. It's literally just a basic how to clean it. Also, we changed the gasket on the back as well if we had one. So for those that were asking, I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope it was in depth enough. I wasn't sure how far to go on it. Wasn't really geared up for pulling or getting bits that were stuck, so apologise in advance. I only had a small selection of tools on hand to do this job. But hopefully that's covered what people were asking for how to remove the carburetor and clean it. If you want more, just leave some comments in the comments section and I'll try and answer them. If it means another video, or if I can just try and write you an answer. But thanks for watching, and if you've enjoyed that, please give it a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more. Thanks for watching. So just while I put it back together, we'll just look at these three hoses again that are on the carb. So this clear tube comes from the front of the intake manifold here. So I believe it's some sort of like pulse pump or crankcase vent, not entirely sure. Obviously for the remote tank we've got the inlet for it, and it comes up here on this other clear tube and it goes into the fuel tank, the fuel pump. Now the output side of the fuel pump is this top black hose which runs into the carb, and the one on the right, bottom right, which is the thick one, runs all the way back to the internal tank. So that's the three hoses on there. So obviously the thick black one, bottom right, the clear one that goes to the sort of the crankcase is on the left, and above that is the one of the fuel pump, which comes to the remote tank on the front there.